Hey, HR friends, welcome back. So, we're going through the transition. We made it. We're in day one of the 3-1 emotional 6.5 day sequence. So, in the electromagnetic world, in the unseen tides of the ocean, we just hit a bottom, low tide, and now the water's going to start piling back in. So, it might feel okay at the exact moment here. Okay. As this thing starts to, you can imagine the electromagnetics are kind of stagnant. They haven't really reversed. They're starting to, but then they're going to pick up. And I warn people about this because we just got done with reverse direction for 6.5 days. And now we're going to go back in the forward direction again at this E 6.5 day level. Now, this is going to cause some turbulence, meaning it's going to just take a little time for us to acclimate. I like to call it jet lag. So, for the next 24 to 36 hours, if your body, your digestion, your concentration, if that stuff seems to be a little off, you're a little foggy, there's some really strong stuff flipping right now. Now, this one's kind of a big deal because we're only talking about the 6.5 day sequence. But when a solstice or an equinox happens, and in this case, it's the summer solstice. So when the summer solstice is happening in the northern hemisphere, it's the winter solstice in the southern hemisphere. We've got a dual polarity flip. This is when the 7.5 day sequence and the 6.5 day sequence synchronize together and then start through the new season again. And then halfway through the season, they synchronize. And then at the end of the season, they synchronize again. So we're going to warn you about these times. So we've really got two currents going right now. And in the 7.5 world, that one's going backwards. And in the 6.5 world, that one's going forward. Now, what does that mean when we look at these electromagnetic graphs? So what that means is it means in the third person perspective, that's why this is staying elevated. That 7.5 frequency or small m is what's keeping this elevated. And that polarity moment is going to go on here for a couple more days. Now, this is what's creating the increase in the first person is this 3-1 6.5 day sequence. Now, I'm going to repeat this again and again. And after you watch this a few times, or it's just going to take some time to get used to all of the numbers here. But if the second number is odd, that means that it's a first person perspective. If the second number, the number behind the dash, is even, that means it's a third person perspective. Now, in this case, we're going to get tested in both at the same time. And those increased agitations at both the first person and third person level, well, you can see what's happening here at the combined polarity. Now, I always say we can notice it at a 4. Well, for this next 24-hour period, the combined really doesn't get below a 4. So be very cautious here, both at your level within your family, within your community, within your friends. You want to make sure you're staying as calm. You don't want to cause agitation right now. It is highly likely. Then, in addition to having these first person agitations, we've got third person agitations that are staying at a 2 and elevating up to a 4. So they're bouncing between a 2 and a 4. And that same thing is happening here at the first person level, 2 and a 4. So again, for this next 24-hour segment, very, very cautious and don't forget about that jet lag feeling. That takes some time to get used to this. Like I can tell right now as I'm doing this post, it's just before this transition is going to happen, and I'm feeling pretty good right now. But I guarantee 12 hours or 14 hours into this, my body's going to slow down a little bit, and I'm going to go, "Hey, what just happened here? Who hit the brakes, and why is this going the other direction?" I'm just warning you. Now, when everybody starts to feel a little off kilter, that's also something you want to be aware of because you want to, again, stay calm, cooperative. You want to talk through any kind of conflict. Definitely don't make any additional stress. Remember, these electromagnetic agitations are predetermined. They are literally testing us. And the only real choice that we have is do we want to react to them and make things worse for ourselves? Or do we want to overcome them and start to smooth out things and make everything better? All right. So obviously, you can see when we look at this 6.5 day sequence, there's a lot of elevation that's going to go on here for a while. Okay. And so for the next couple days, you're just going to hear me repeat stay calm, don't buy into things, make sure you're being clear. That's enough about that. All right, so now we're going to look at objective. And you can see that objective is kind of all over the place here. We've got some up and down movement in all of them during this segment. Now, when we talk about objective, you got to understand we are in a space time simulation. it's going to be hard for you to believe this until you consistently see how this pattern is affecting everything you feel and everything that's happening around you. And really, what we're supposed to be doing in this space time experience is we're supposed to be balancing our families. And this is a mathematical family. So don't even think about this as the family you're born into. This is the family we're all part of from a mathematical sense. We should be treating each other like brothers and sisters, like fathers and mothers, an interconnected team that's working together to balance how they invest their time and their resources in the shared world that makes this experience in space time possible. This means that you're going to want to have good communication and great full disclosure relationships with everybody in your life. And you're going to be willing to want to talk to them about how you are investing your time and balancing your time between these four social perspectives. I'm going to say this again and again. If you are over investing in an area, that means you're under investing in another area, which means when these frequencies come and test us, these are what's in charge. These frequencies are literally testing us. And if our choices are out of balance with balanced choice, well, then these frequencies cause destructive interference. That is what causes aging. That is what causes disease. And when you're born, you're going to have this pattern that you're kind of born with, that it's going to want to just take you down that path of what feels right to you and what feels good to you. And that's a great place to start. But life isn't about staying the same. Life is about constantly evolving and changing and diversifying. And Health Reconnected is trying to help you understand that we are in a biofeedback system that is literally poking and prodding us to do better at balancing choice. End of story. I'm not talking about this right now anymore. I think I've been ringing the bell here long enough. Everybody understands they should be doing this. There is nobody on this earth that doesn't think that peace and prosperity would be a great idea. The only problem is you just didn't realize this unseen force is agitating us. Okay? Now, I can't even imagine the confirmation videos we're going to be doing here at both the third person level, like the world level or national level, and what we're going to see on the news in the first person level. Now, I'm sorry, we're just getting started here. This is literally Health Reconnected's kickoff. We're coming out, we're going public, we're taking this to every government, we're taking this to every tech company, we're taking this to every place that is influencing people that is not helping us to be balanced. This needs to start now, because if it doesn't, I can promise you this: these electromagnetic agitations, they're not going away. And if we're not prepared for these, you can see what's happening here. Social tensions are ramping up and weather events are ramping up, and they are perfectly synchronized with what this is right here, these unseen electromagnetics. All right. So we're going to talk about day one here. So we've got the zoomed in 24-hour guide as usual. And we've got all 24 offsets. We do this for people that don't have good or consistent internet connection. That way, when you're around internet in the morning or whenever you can get it, what you want to do is you want to hunt and pack. You're going to find your time zone offset. Mine is -4. I'm in Naples, Florida. Now, if I didn't have internet, this is what I'd do. I'd take a snapshot of this, and what that does is the -4 is now Eastern time zone, and these times are now aligned, and I know exactly when all these peaks are going to happen. So if I'm going to be out in the community or I'm going to go to an event, I'm not going to be caught off by surprise. Promise you, these events, these all these places where shootings are happening and people are deciding to go at certain times because these events are scheduled at those times, you want to know when these points are, because there's been way too much gun conflict. There's been way too much everything going on when we start to gather in big crowds of people. This is something you can immediately do to make better decisions, to stay safe, and then also to understand the importance of not buying into these electromagnetic points. Now, this 24-hour period, high alert, high alert, high alert. That's all I can say. High alert. All right. So we're done with the electromagnetics, and now we're going to get into the alignments here. Now, this is a relatively busy day of alignments, or a busy 24-hour period of alignments. So we're just going to start motoring through them here. All right. So we're going to start with the EE. This is a space alignment. It's this one right here. It's 1.5 hours long. It's going to test the right and left lower quadrants. Now, the E frequency, that's a 6.5 day frequency. This is a 3.5 hour frequency. So during this alignment, expect more to be felt on the right side. Now, for new viewers, alignments are when two hands of the space-time clocks align, and what's really happening is two frequencies are aligning. It's amplifying the frequency, and it's making it easy for us to show you that you exist in a space-time biofeedback system. This is how this system teaches us. It doesn't tell us the rules. And luckily, Health Reconnected figured out the rules, figured out the math, and figured out how to map all this out for you so we can see what the heck is going on and stop suffering and punishing ourselves because we're unaware. We're here to build awareness of how this works. All right. Let's move on to the next one here. So the next alignment's going to happen in the second 12-hour period here, and we're in the MP. Okay, so the small m is a 7.5 day frequency, the P is a 12-hour frequency. This is going to affect right lower quadrant. Now, this is pretty strong stuff. I would expect some people are probably going to feel this. If that's the case, you make sure you document the area you feel it, the time you feel it, and you come to the website, you use our technology, and we have a vlog now that's step by step shows you how to use our technology to start making things better for yourself immediately. All right, let's keep moving here. The next one we're going to talk about is this ME. That's this guy right here. 1.5 hours. This is a capital M. That's your frequency. Small e, 3.5 hour frequency. This is going to affect left lower quadrant. If you have a hit here and something hurts during this time, you definitely want to document where it hurt. Same thing. We'll help you out. We'll show you how to use the technology. You'll know exactly what relationships you need to start to invest in, you need to start to expand in, and you need to start to diversify in to make sure that when these alignments come again, you don't have to suffer. Now, these two are going to hit at the same time, right? This ME here and this ME here, and one's a little bit longer. This is 3.25 hours long. This is 1.5 hours long, but it's going to really get both sides here. So expect everything, any of the joints, any kind of digestive dysfunction, urinary bladder dysfunction, sexual dysfunction, all that stuff is on the table. These are going to be relatively strong alignments. All right, so the last one we got to talk about here is the PE. All right, that's this guy down here, 0.75 hours. This is testing left and right lower quadrant, 12-hour frequency, 3.5 hour frequency. And this one, I don't expect a lot of people to feel. Now, this is worth mentioning. All of these alignments are relatively short, but these are pretty strong. And because electromagnetics are up, if there's stress in your life, that means your body is going to be tight and tense. And when you're tight and tense, you're going to feel this a whole lot more. This is why we're trying to help you understand how to stay calm and not have all that stress going on. And the only way to eliminate stress is to deal with it. You see, we've got this defensive mechanism strapped to our back, and it's fight or flight. We either want to fight somebody or we want to run away. Well, if we do either of those, we lose and we lose. The only way to eliminate stress is to take it head on and to work it out in a calm, cooperative fashion where everybody benefits. Now, that's extremely hard to do. I promise you. I've been working at this every day since I figured this math out, and I'm still challenged every day. That's why we put this technology together. That's why we have these forecasts for you, because we want you to be successful. All right, let's talk about macros here. So we're going to talk about where the macro placement is as we're looking at what the testing sequence is. Now, these are how many frequencies are going to be running through the four quadrants of the body, and these are testing you in how balanced you are in these first-person relationships and these third-person perspectives. That's what's happening here. So if a quadrant hurts, it just tells you you either have a problem with the third person, the first person, or both, and that's why our technology is so important. We can dissect this and we can figure out exactly where you want to start to invest first so that things get better for you as quickly as possible. Now, when we look at the macros here, these are the 10 strongest macros that are going to be cycling within this 24-hour sequence, okay? These don't really move. Now, there are many, many, many more frequencies that are coming through and testing us, and that's why you see all these up and downs everywhere. But these are the strongest. So where these sit are usually where people are going to notice it the most. All right. So let's just count up the ones in the lower quadrant here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we got 6 in the lower quadrant. We got 4 in the upper quadrant. We've got 4 on the right side, and we've got 2 on the left side. So right out of the gate here, just looking at how this is, expect to feel more in the lower quadrants and expect to feel more on the right lower quadrant. And then remember this, look at all these alignments. All they're doing is testing lower quadrants. These perspectives on the time side have to do with individual and family balance. And these perspectives over here have to do with son and daughter or immature male and female balance. So, what you'd want to be doing is you just want to talk to other people about how they see the world, where they're at with their relationships, where they're at with their routines. That's how you're in alignment with this stuff. You can't fix it right away. What you have to do is you got to start talking to people. You have to start diversifying and you have to start changing your routines. It is your routine that is causing you the problem. Okay. And if your routine is out of balance, if your routine looks the same tomorrow, then you're taking the same damage or more damage than you took the day before. And damage is cumulative. That's what's aging us. That's what's causing unpleasant diseases. All right. So now we know that the right lower quadrant's more probable, and also we can see here that right upper quadrant is going to be more probable. Okay, now there are two over here as well. So really, it could be handy either way here. You could have left or right upper quadrant. So now let's get into the guide here. So in the first 12 hours, you can see both the upper right and the upper left are being tested heavier. And in the second 12 hours, they're going to kind of come down here just a little bit. As far as the lower quadrants go, they're pretty equal. Now, you can see in the second 12 hours, the right side pops up. So, again, this is kind of a diversified day as far as what people are going to feel. I imagine this could be all over the place, but if I was in practice, I always say this: expect lower quadrant more than you're going to expect upper quadrant. And no matter where you hurt, no matter what happens, even if it's not your body, maybe you just had this awful experience and document it. I promise you, every unpleasant thing that happens to us has a rhyme and a reason if you understand how space time math works. And luckily we do. So we're going to help you with that. All right. So we're going to end here and we've got some crazy cool new stuff. So what I've done here is I put together an electromagnetic guide for the entire summer season of 2024. So when we come up here and we do these 6.5 day sequences, I'm only showing you 6.5 days, and then you don't even really know what's coming in the next six or the next six after that. And this is different. Now you got them all. And they've got the dates and times that start here. This would start at the 3-1. So if we bring this back here, this is the 6.5 day sequence we're talking about. And then if you want to see what the next one looks like, you just go to the next one. And this is going to show you the electromagnetics. Why? Why did we do this? I'm sure there are a lot of people that have all kinds of plans to travel or have a vacation or to go to some kind of big event. And we don't want you to get there and not be prepared. Okay. In the beginning here, as we're waking people up to what's happening, we're not going to be able to change everybody's routines or even help you understand why you would want to. So as you're forcing yourself to do all these things that maybe aren't the best for your body and definitely aren't the best for our societies, our communities, our nations, or the world in general, we at least want you to be safe and know when there are going to be electromagnetic spikes. We don't want you to get caught up in a situation where you're somewhere that is highly likely that something's going to happen. Okay, so that's why we did this. And I didn't just stop at the summer season. I also gave you the entire fall season. So we can go as far forward in the future as we want, but really what we want people to do is focus. We want you to focus on the 6.5 days we have at hand, because there's no sense thinking about 2 months from now when there's going to be plenty to have to get through here at this exact moment in time. All right, we got a little bit more here. We've been doing a lot. So we've got a new request form. If you want us to do an electromagnetic past event and show you what was happening, maybe it was 9/11. Maybe you want to see the George Floyd murder. Maybe you want to see what the electromagnetics were when some mass shooting happened. All you got to do is fill this out. We don't collect any of your information. This just comes to us, tells you what you're interested in, and then we post a video on it. All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about here and what we're going to navigate to is the log, okay? Now, this is going to take just a hot second to load up here. There we go. Now, what we've done here is every single day when I get up, I use the tool and I'm going to start showing people what I do. I'm going to do a video that's going to outline how to use our technology to efficiently understand everything that's coming your direction before it even does. So you are so prepared that you are going to, you know what, kick some butt here. That's what we need. We need a lot of people that are willing to put in the time to invest in their own rhythms and invest in their own well being. And that's pretty cool stuff. Now, in addition, what we've got going on here is we've got some confirmation posts. So our confirmation videos are going to be posted under this daily vlog. And you can come in here and we can show you, hey, we tried to warn you about all these things. These are the things that happen. And this is how we're going to start to get people more aware of what this is and why we all want to start to work together and invest together. And then at the bottom of this page, we're still working this out, but we're going to have a whole library of them. So you'll be able to come and look at every past event that we've ever done the electromagnetics on. Pretty soon, we're going to have such a library that people are going to go, this is crazy. Every single event that we thought was terrible or unpleasant, it was actually planned. I'm sorry it works this way, but it's important you know this. We are super excited. Health Reconnected is prepared. Can't wait to help you. We'll see you next post. All right.